Hello, good evening. I'm Phil McCann. A major incident was declared across Greater Manchester today because of flooding which has affected many other parts of the northwest. Firefighters had to use rafts to rescue people from homes and in some cases cars. In Cheshire, a canal has been breached after part of an embankment collapsed, and there was a nightmare day of travelling after New Year's Eve because some major railways and roads were underwater. Katie Barnfield reports.
At Meadow Mill in Stockport, it was not the start to the year they were hoping for. People living in this block of flats woke up to find their cars submerged. The water levels so high, they became trapped inside the building. Hannah Bow is one of them. We spoke to her as she was waiting to be evacuated. So how's it been this morning? Have you had water? Have you had food?
We've not really got much food in because we didn't plan a food shop until today, which obviously hasn't paid off. So the firefighters have brought us some water, so enough water for me, my boyfriend and the dog. The corridors in here, because there are no windows, are pitch black, so it's really not safe to walk anywhere. So we're just bound to our apartment with the water that they've given us, and that's all really. No power, no electricity, nothing.
In Dunham Massey in Trafford, part of the Bridgewater Canal completely collapsed because of the heavy rainfall, sending water pouring into nearby fields. Cheshire Police said they were evacuating homes nearby. Didsbury was one of 6 areas where Greater Manchester Police declared a major incident earlier, after the River Mersey reached nearly double its normal height. Floodgates were opened onto Fletcher Moss Park, with people having to be rescued from nearby cottages. Several roads around Greater Manchester also had to be closed, including a section of the M56 westbound near Manchester Airport and the A555 Airport Relief Road in Handforth, where cars were abandoned completely underwater. Tonight, some relief for the residents of Meadow Mill as Greater Manchester Police and the Fire Brigade began bringing people out. Some going to stay with friends and family, others to refuge centres set up nearby.
I just grabbed as much as I could and there's a lot that I think needs to be disinfected and sorted and fixed, so it could be a while.
Officers say with less rainfall expected, the flooding should subside over the coming days and the clean-up can begin. Katie Barnfield, BBC North West Tonight.
Well, in Cheshire, residents are questioning the effectiveness of flood defences after their homes were damaged for the second time in 4 years. Residents in Lymm had taken part in consultations to improve flood defences, as Lindsay Prosser reports.
Water came up through the floor into this lounge, and the speed at which it overwhelmed the cottage was shocking.
There's nothing you can do. There's absolutely nothing you can do. It just comes in. You know, we've got flood defences and it just comes through the floor and you just watch it and watch it and watch it. And it's just awful because it's not just water.
The council's flood team were called, but by the time they arrived some hours later, it was too late for sandbags. These properties behind me have been flooded before, and the residents say that they were consulted by the council and the Environment Agency as improvements to flood defences were made. They say they're disappointed that last night the water came in at an alarming rate.
We were flooded during Storm Christoph, and we did a lot of work with the local farmers, with the Environment Agency and the council to help prevent this, telling them what happened and how it happened, and then putting things in, and it's just not worked.
Nearby, a car is stuck in flood water. Elsewhere in Cheshire, fire and rescue crews had to use rafts to reach people trapped in their cars. For Bernadette, New Year's Day has meant clearing up after her home in Ribchester in Lancashire was flooded.
It's damage, it's got to be sorted, and it's a pain in the neck having to sort it. So, you know, carpets in the back room, and the outside is obviously full of sludge and stuff like that. So it's new carpets drying out. It'll be a few months probably before we get it sorted.
Elsewhere in Lancashire, heavy rain meant roads were closed and more homes were damaged. Lindsay Prosser, BBC North West Tonight.
And on top of all that, flooded railway lines have seriously disrupted trains today. There were no services from Manchester Piccadilly across the Pennines this morning. Trains between Manchester and Liverpool, Chester, Preston and Buxton were cancelled. Some have restarted since, though. To make matters worse, the flooded roads meant there were no replacement buses on some of those routes. Now, there is much more about the flooding on a special programme on BBC Radio Manchester, Radio Merseyside and Radio Lancashire, which is starting around now until around 10 o'clock tonight. And there's also much more on the situation on the BBC News website. Elsewhere, the Merseyside police have said that they were shocked to find a 7-year-old boy was dangerously riding an illegal scrambler bike in Huyton yesterday. The boy said he'd been given the off-road bike as a Christmas present. Out to watch the New Year's Day tug of war on New Brighton Beach today. The RNLI's team beat Merseyside Sub-Aqua Club 2-0. The annual event raises money for the local lifeboat station. Right, let's see what the weather's going to do next. Here's Kay.
Good evening. Well, things are a lot quieter now after a very wet and windy start to the new year. But now our attentions are turning to the hazard of ice. The skies are clearing and those temperatures are falling. There will be some ice on untreated surfaces through tonight and tomorrow morning. For the time being, still a couple of showers. They will fade away and clear away to the south through this evening. And then it's dry and clear throughout tonight. The winds are easing off as well. So a widespread frost, temperatures falling down to around -3 Celsius. So yes, it's a cold start tomorrow morning, but it's a lovely start. Lots of blue sky, lots of sunshine, and we're going to hold on to that into the afternoon as well. But it will feel a lot colder, a maximum temperature of 2 to 4 Celsius. Looks as though things will start to change later on Friday, and there's the chance of some snow by Saturday.
Right, that's it from us for now on a day where there's been an awful lot of disruption. Just to remind you, we had part of the M56 in Cheshire closed this morning because of flooding. The M57 as well in Merseyside was completely closed for a time. The A555 was shut in parts as well, and massive disruption on the trains. That special programme on BBC Radio Manchester, Merseyside and Lancashire is starting around now till around 10 o'clock tonight. Much more on the BBC News website. We'll be back in BBC Breakfast tomorrow morning. For now, thanks for watching. Goodbye.